the Supreme Court scandal that is it is ready to blow. I mean, it already has turned out that this crazy bitch, Ginni Thomas, who is married to Clarence Thomas, is and has been out of her goddamn mind, I don't know, all her life, I guess. She is a creme de la creme of the Christian fascists. She has helped organize, God only knows, how many various neo-fascist organizations in this country in her crazed attempt to destroy democracy and replace it with Ginni Thomas Christianity. She's just a crazy bitch. I'm sorry, that's what she is, out of her fucking mind. And she just happens to be the wife of a Supreme Court justice. But as Jennifer Rubin points out, the scandal, it more and more is starting to sound like a movie script gone awry. Jennifer writes, what? A wife of a Supreme Court justice is going full-on conspiracy theorist and rooting on an effort to overthrow an election? Who would buy that? End quote, Jennifer Rubin. Yeah, that's true. But as we now know, thanks to Robert Woodward and Bob DaCosta, in a series of 29 text messages that were sent after the election, the crazy bitch, Ginni Thomas, sent all of these politically seductive texts and emails to then White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows. And the purpose was to vomit up these ridiculous claims of voter fraud and try to get Mark Meadows to be more of an active participant in trying to undo the election. Now, am I being sexist calling her a crazy bitch? No, I use that term with men or women. I don't give a shit. But that's exactly what she is. The two writers, Robert Costa and Bob Woodward, and by the way, Robert Costa used to be at the Post. Bob Woodward still is, but Costa is now with CBS News. But the two of them report that the messages that the crazy bitch Ginni Thomas sent, quote, reveal an extraordinary pipeline between Virginia Thomas, who goes by Ginni, and Trump's top aide during a period when Trump and his allies were vowing to go to the Supreme Court in an effort to negate the election results, end quote. Yeah, and anytime I've heard Clarence Thomas speak, and it hasn't been that many times, I'm very suspect of where he's getting his information. Now, he's from here in Georgia. He grew up in a small town outside of Savannah, Georgia. And why he became as anti-black, capital B, as he has shown himself to be, I don't know. But one of the biggest threats to equal justice under law in this country is the black man who sits on the Supreme Court. And the equal justice under law is what black folk have been hollering for 200 years. And yet Uncle Clarence Thomas sits there and does every goddamn thing he can to deny people of color participation in the democratic system. It's unbelievable. I don't know. That's why I mock him. That's why I call him Uncle Clarence Thomas. Anything I can say to denigrate what this bastard does. For him to be a Supreme Court justice is ridiculous. Just like Amy Catholic Barrett being a Supreme Court justice or Kavanaugh being a Supreme Court justice is bullshit. And Thomas is now the longest sitting Supreme Court justice that we have on the Supreme Court, longest sitting justice. Anyway, the latest, and what Thomas has done, and God knows how many times this has happened, but despite his old lady's involvement with this Trumpian scheme to overturn the results of an election and therefore stick a knife right in the heart of democracy, Thomas has participated now in two cases involving the 2020 election. One in which the court denied a petition brought to throw out electoral votes, throw them out, and another in which the court turned down a request by Trump to halt disclosure of documents from the Trump administration relating to the coup attempt. And in that last case, Clarence Thomas indicated he would have granted the request. I think that ruling was, 8-1 or whatever it was. Aside from the degree to which this political rot, this Trumpism, this filth, this neo-fascist Christianity has permeated and devoured what used to be the Republican Party, this scandal with the bitch Ginni Thomas raises the prospect of a Supreme Court justice ruling in cases that his old lady has been highly instrumental in coloring, no pun intended, in influencing, which Uncle Clarence should have recused himself from even hearing, much less ruling on. Representative Ted Lieu, Democrat of California, Jennifer Rubin quotes him. He sits on the House Judiciary Committee, of course. But he said to Jennifer Rubin, quote, Justice Thomas's objectivity is in question, and the implications of that for the court are grave. Above all else, Supreme Court justices need to be impartial and far removed from politics. End quote. Well, I would hope to shout, I would hope to scream, but not in the case of the fascist Christians. Oh, no. I mean, that wall between church and state, as any fascist Christian will tell you, is a bullshit construct that the framers never intended to be there. That's what they'll tell you. Anyway, Ted Lieu adds, quote, I think what Ginni Thomas was doing around the insurrection was crazy. But ultimately, that is a matter of politics. End quote. And then in contrast to what the Ginni bitch is doing, Representative Lieu says, quote, Justice Thomas, wielding his significant power to attempt to shield himself and his wife from scrutiny, is an abuse of his role as a Supreme Court justice, end quote. Now, what Lieu means there is when Uncle Clarence voted not to allow these documents to be released that will show Ginni's involvement much more deeply than what the emails that, what's his name, the chief of staff that had sent, Mark Meadows, that had given to the chamber, to the committee before he said, "Oop, that's enough." There's a lot more there. Now, Daniel Goldman, you remember him? He was counsel to the House managers during Trump's first impeachment. And as far as being a litigator, oh my God, Goldman just impressed the hell out of me. I mean, the man was calm, quiet, absolutely insisted on answers, was just a penetrating questioner. Do you remember him? Woo! Anyway, Goldman says this, future recusal on the part of Thomas is necessary, but not sufficient, because the damage to Clarence Thomas's appearance of impartiality has been done. There will be recusal motions in the future, as there should be, Goldman goes on, but that is a difficult and unusual path because there is no code of ethics that applies to the Supreme Court. End quote. Well, when I heard that the other day, that really shocked me. There's not a judge alive in the United States that doesn't have some sort of a code of ethics by which he has to abide. He has to stay within the parameters of that code of ethics, but not the Supreme Court. Who knew? It's crazy. And then Daniel Goldman argues that, quote, a congressional investigation is necessary here, especially to understand what Clarence Thomas knew and whether there was coordination between him and his wife. An impeachment investigation is not at all out of the question, but I would start with a standard oversight investigation, end quote. You notice how much time is taken up by the people who should be governing this country, who should be making decisions that are critical to the very existence of this country. How much time is being taken up because of the filth and the crime and the corruption that this filthy fucking Donald Trump did in 4 years and left in his wake with all these corrupt son of a bitches that he put into positions of power. It is astonishing. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcast. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com, and never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.